Next we are seeing the opening of the Durham Junction Railway, which extended the stand-up in Tyne to, well, attempted to Durham, but here we're just seeing them as far as Leenside. And then just coach from there into Durham. So now we have 2 ways into Durham. Next we have another really big line, which is the extension of the London and Birmingham all the way up to New Street from Oxmoor. So far, a lot of the stations on the West Coast Main Line are following the similar design of having 2 pass-through tracks and then 2 platforms for through trains, and then if either 2, 3 or 4 terminus platforms for branch lines. Finally, and then we have the West Coast Main Line completed as far as Wigan, I believe. Although I think in a few moments we're going to extend it to Preston. If we haven't already, I can't quite remember because I'm recording this a couple of days later. I'm still very much getting used to recording and editing YouTube videos. It's a pain in the butt. which is also why my uploads are fairly inconsistent. I'm still learning how to edit videos, and it's taking me a very long time to render them. I have other things to do. I once again followed the tactic of putting depots and stations on alternating sites. So trains going southbound can be maintained at one depot and then northbound at another, although some are bi-directional. And then some are just purely for the branch lines. One thing I've learned from playing OpenTTD is that trains are terrible at learning where they have to go, which is why I'm using so many waypoints. And it also means I want to try and keep the tracks separated where I can, while maintaining some level of realism. Unfortunately, in the early game, the trains are very, very slow and weak, so they take ages to get to their destination. It also makes it hard for them to actually space themselves out. Back down to London for the opening of the London and Southampton Railway, although not all the way yet, just to a village called Winchfield, which is roughly halfway between Farnborough and Basingstoke. This one required a lot of big stations such as Clapham Junction, Wimbledon. I had to check the timetable a lot because the London and South Western Railway, which is what this railway is going to become, was the first to really invent suburban railways and realise they could make massive profits off people commuting into the city rather than travelling between cities. for this line I just have to flick through my timetables a lot to see which stations require branch services coming off them. And coming this far into the London city centre, I had to decide which suburban lines I wanted to include and which not, because a lot of them were even went down onto the tube, and I'm not going to be including the tube for the most part, just because of the lack of space. The same with a lot of suburban railways. I'm trying to get in as many as I can, but there's just no point if you can't get if the entire Greater London is just going to be rails. And there will be horrible driving junctions. Also, another problem with that is that with such short services, a lot of the services will be the exact same, even if they just went on a similar line. So on such a small scale like this, there's no point. So I'm just not including them. Clapham Junction was a major pain because it is the busiest station on the UK rail network, where it has two major main lines crossing over one another and a third main line passing very close by. Probably will have to come back and change this one, but I tried my hardest for now. Here we're up in Dundee for the Dundee and Arbroath Railway. I've probably pronounced that quite wrong, but this will actually become a joint railway between the North British and the Caledonian Railways, and will eventually become part of the East Coast Main Line for trains up to Aberdeen via the East Coast. Trains from Glasgow to Aberdeen now use this line, but previously expresses from London to Aberdeen went via Newtile Perth, and then Cuba-Angus, and then Forfar, and then upwards to Aberdeen. So there was a slight change in line. I know I mentioned this a lot, I just find it fascinating to see how the pathings of all the different main lines have changed. You'll see it drastically in the East Coast one, especially in the northeast. Next we're extending the West Coast Main Line yet again, up to Preston, with the Preston and Wigan Railway, although I think that this railway has already been merged with the, I can't remember the name, but it's the one between Parkside and Wigan Branch, that's the one, into the North Union Railway. This line will later be absorbed absorbed by the London and North Western and the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railways. Partially become a direct railway and partially just separately owned by the different companies. Here I messed around with trying to make the line up, up, down, down, but I couldn't figure out how to make that junction there, so I just kind of gave up and made it up, down like normal. I'm not going to put in London to Preston Expresses yet. Don't know when I will. I probably will when the railways merge together. Anyway, next we have the Sheffield and Rotherham Railway, which I don't really have anything to say about this. It's Sheffield. But this line will later become part of the Midland main line, and it wasn't until the current main line was opened south of Sheffield down to Chesterfield and then to link up with the line again until 1870. Before that, express trains to Sheffield had to stop at Rotherham and reverse and go back down the line, which you will see later when the North Midland Railway opens. I'll demonstrate that later. Placed down those signs there to plan where the Great Central Railways, Great Central Railways, Rotherham Station is going to be going. Just planning ahead, so I don't have to demolish a bunch of the town. Next we're seeing the Arbroath and Forfar Railway, which was actually used to transport materials from Arbroath docks up to Forfar, because of a lot of textile mills in that town. But for now we're just using it for passengers. All the industries on the map are actually placed to rough industries in reality. I use RailMap Online, which shows you where lots of various railside industries are, which obviously I couldn't include all of them, but it's general. Like if I see a bunch of coal mines in one small area, I'll include that. But anyway, that's why Forfar wasn't included. Also for industries, I'm going to try and construct new ones in cities if there isn't any there, because in reality a lot of the time is raw materials will be transported to cities by train, and then privately owned factories will then turn them into goods and so on. Here I was having trouble with the trains not reaching their destination and refusing to go down the right line. And then I realised it was because there was a one-way signal just outside Rotherham station, preventing the trains from getting in. Moving on, we have the York and North Midland Railway, which opened between, well, the plan was to open between York and Normanton, which was a town that, or a village that the North Midland Railway was planned to be going through. The Manchester and Leeds Railway also used the strategy of linking up at Normanton, because the York and North Midland Railway not only did it give a connection to Leeds, but it also gave it a connection southwards all the way to Rugby, and then on the London Birmingham Railway all the way to London. So that was the original East Coast Main Line via what is now the West Coast and Midland Railways. York and North Midland Railway hasn't reached its final destination yet, so for now I'm just linking it up with the Leeds and Selby, where passengers can transfer to access Leeds or Selby. Here we have the Midland Counties Railway, which opened between Derby, Nottingham and Rugby, where connected with the West Coast Main Line, allowing passengers to travel from London to Derby and Nottingham. The Birmingham and Derby Junction Railway also connected to Derby, which gave Derby access to Birmingham, and the North Midland Railway opened between Derby and Leeds, like I mentioned earlier. So we're really starting to see an intercity network starting to take place. It's exciting. On this line between Derby and Nottingham, there is Trent Junction, where there was it's a very big junction basically, because you have the Midland Main Line from the south to London, and then you have Derby out to the left, Nottingham to the right, then the Midland Main Line straight forward up the Airwash Valley. So it's going to get complicated there. First we have a very simple one, and that is the London and Southampton Railway, while it's still nowhere near completion, renaming itself to the London and South Western Railway. And this is because they had already received authorisation for an extension to Portsmouth, and Portsmouth and Southampton were very bitter rivals when it comes to ports. So if the railway was just called the London and Southampton, the citizens of Portsmouth would get very upset at them, so they renamed to the London South Western. I haven't even finished speaking, and I've already moved on to the next project, which is the London and Croydon Railway. It's pretty simple where it goes. But anyway, this railway is actually quite unique because when it first opened, it was using the atmospheric system, which means the trains wouldn't need any locomotives, and how it works is there would be a third rail, which is actually a tube down the middle of the tracks, and air would be pumped out of the tube, so it's a vacuum, and then all the carriage would have pistons beneath, and the vacuum, so the pistons would be connected into the tube, and the vacuum would pull the train along. It was not successful. It was hard to make the tubes airtight, and they kept breaking, so it wasn't long before they were just converted to normal steam traction. However, this line was actually one of the first electrified lines, so I guess it's just special for innovation. Moving on, perfect timing, to the, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, good luck when I come to Welsh Railways. This is the Llanelli. That's not right, I'm sorry. It's that railway opening between there and this village here. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. This is mostly a mineral railway because there was docks at Clenny. Oh, that was embarrassing. There was docks there, and there was coal mines at the other end of the line. I'm not mentioning any lines from here. I'm just going to say here, there, and everywhere. Good luck. Anyway, we're not transporting coal yet. Once again, because you cannot deliver coal straight to towns, unfortunately, in this game. So we just have to make do. I'm so sorry about my pronunciations. Back down to the London South Western, that extending from the terminus at Winchfield finally into Basingstoke, which means I can get rid of the shuttle. And at the same time, they opened an isolated section between Winchester and Southampton, while that link between Basingstoke and Winchester is still being built. So I just use I'm going to put in like shuttles between Basingstoke and Winchester, so we'll finally have a connection between London and Southampton, whether it be indirect or not. station in Southampton is the one I didn't actually know about until I researched this, but this is Southampton Terminus Station, also known as Southampton Town and Docks, as opposed to the current Southampton Station, which is called Southampton West. Going back to the north for the Newcastle and North Shields Railway. Was quite a small suburban railway, but it was later absorbed by the Newcastle and Berwick Railway as a method into reaching Newcastle, rather so they didn't have to spend a fortune knocking down buildings and building their own stations. This line was also become later electrified into the Tyneside Electrics, that's the word, and then later it's actually still open as the Metro now. All the way back down to London for the Eastern Counties Railway. The start of the Great Eastern Main Line. At the minute just between a temporary terminus just outside of London in Stratford, and then just a stone throw away in Romford. I did not want to bother with having to make a huge station at Stratford and spend ages working on all the branches coming off it. So I'm just going to leave it and come back to it off camera. Here we have the Aylesbury Railway. It was owned by London Birmingham from the start, but it was just a very small extension from the West Coast Main Line into Aylesbury. It's happened quite a few times in early railways. If a main line just passed close to a town, but not quite there, they just built a tiny branch off it. Fair forced passengers to connect. A lot of these didn't see the cuts, however, because people just don't like changing trains. And can you blame them? Here we have the Brandling Junction Railway, which was to link Sunderland and Newcastle with the docks at South Shields, but for now it's just linking Sunderland with the stand-up in time at Brockley Winds. Obviously going fast because they're all the way back down in the Great Western, which extending from its current terminus to Twyford, which I don't have as a town, but in reality is actually where the branch to, I can't remember, is it Henley on Thames? It might be. Anyway, that's where the branch line branches off there. So I've just put in a bus shuttle. There's actually two shuttles from Twyford at the minute, one into the next destination at Reading, and then one up the valley into Henley. I'm guessing it is Henley because my computer is not the best, so when I'm recording this voiceover I actually had to reduce the quality of the preview in the video editor to very low in order for my computer to be able to keep up. So I can't actually read any of the text on screen, I'm just guessing. I apologise. Anyway, here we have the start of the Manchester and Leeds Railway, which is still open as the Cardiff line, but for now it's just open between Manchester, Victoria and Littleborough, which is just a little bit beyond Rockdale. That's not right. Rochdale. I'll look into it. Oh, this is so embarrassing. You had to rework the entrance into Manchester Victoria a fair few times. It's just a big station with a lot of lines coming out of it. No further explanation. That depot there is temporary, which is why I haven't really put any effort into getting some sort of real life placement or naming it or connecting the tracks right or anything. I'll be removing it once railways merge and the trains can use the other ones. Next, we're moving on to the next constituent of the Midland Railway, which is the Birmingham and Derby Junction Railway, which isn't actually in Birmingham yet. It just connects to the West Coast Main Line at Hampton in Arden. It's not far from Birmingham, but it does mean that trains into Birmingham do have to reverse or people have to change. It wasn't actually long before this railway extends into Birmingham, essentially abandoning the current line from the junction to Hampton. But I'll explain that in a later episode. Started up in Newcastle. We've been up there a few times, but this is the last two things we have to do this episode, which I'm kind of glad about because I'm tired and I'm frustrated from learning video editing. Anyway, here we are, extending the Branding Junction into Newcastle. It was that fast. I planned this so I could build that railway very fast and straight. Look at me go. but also means I can actually put in some real life services. Anyway, last thing, got to be quick before the video ends. The Newcastle and Carlisle are extending over Scotswood. Phew. I have been recording and editing videos for a week just for this, well, 2-part episode. So I apologise for this episode and any future ones where I'm still getting used to making videos. But that's because that's why the videos are coming out so slowly, because I am getting used to making videos. It will speed up over time, I promise. At least I hope. Anyway, you've seen what I've been doing in the time lapse, so I'm not going to go over it. I just might point out some details that might have slipped past. And I was hurrying up when I was explaining this small section of line here. But when it comes to Newcastle, the Tyne is a very large river, so it was nearly impossible to cheaply build a bridge over. So for the meantime, the railway is terminated in Gateshead, and you choose ferries to get across. But this is just such a small area. I wanted to get Newcastle Central in so the town could grow around it, so I wouldn't have to double back on myself and demolish the town and rebuild around it. Stuff like that. This section here is actually how the Newcastle and Carlisle first accessed the city centre of Newcastle on the north side of the Tyne. But because I've already put in this bridge, I can't see it getting used much, so I might take it back out. Sorry about that. So I might take it back out. But when I was looking at my 1910 Bradshaw, I think the local services from Newcastle to Hexham actually went across this line, and then the expresses went across the south bank. But unless the town grows all the way over here and we'll get some sort of suburban service, I can't see this line having any use. Although I think the Derwent Valley line that's going to open along here might have a connection that goes straight across. So if that is the case, then I'll keep the line. I'll have a look and do some research. Another detail is I think that York North Midland actually terminated in Sherburn in Elmet, around here. But I've just connected up to this railway here, so it gets some passenger use, because that's the main priority at the end of the day. I've pointed out other small details around here. I think I explained everything that I wanted to in the time lapse. Yeah, I pretty much think that's it. I've started putting in some small lines to connect with the industries, because I hope I can get some freight traffic in soon. So I'm just keeping an eye open for close industries by the tracks to see what I can do about that. Anyway, the next episode we're actually going to see finishing off the Midland Railway. I think that London and Birmingham is going to expand a bit more. Don't think we're going to see the merger into the London North Western quite yet. We are going to see the growth of the Great Western, South Western, Great Eastern. Yeah, just once again, Railway Mania is really starting to kick off now, and the map is and the main lines are very slowly starting to take shape. I am going to have to do some more work around here. Yeah, I think that's all for this episode. So I will see you all in the next one.